What's the way forward in this? Because clearly there's been these various hiatuses where the government has stood back in the view of Mick Lynch and not helped. That seems to have changed now, and we've got the Transport Secretary as a facilitator, it seems. But is there really a lack of faith on both sides at the moment?
Well, look, I think there has been a change in attitude with the government, but it's difficult to see what the government want. You've already had a report on there about stagflation, which is the lack of growth or actually a recession in the economy plus high inflation. Now, a way to get around that stagflation is to give people decent pay rises, because pay rises aren't actually driving inflation in this instance. It's the oil prices, the profiteering, the scalping, which is making excessive profits. That's driving inflation. So it's not a case that driving down wages is going to help the inflationary rate, because that's not what's actually doing them. And what we do have is an old-fashioned crisis of overproduction, where you're going to have people that won't have the money, because people won't be able to buy Christmas presents, for example, this year, in the way they usually buy them, because they're paying their mortgage and they're paying their heating bills and their energy bills. So the way out of inflation is to give people inflation pay rises.
But can I put the point to you that there are many, many people in the service industries, particularly in hotel, bars, catering and so on this Christmas, who say they are going to have their take-home pay directly affected by this industrial action. I think the hospitality sector basically say 1.5 billion is being taken out of that part of the economy by these strikes. I mean, do you acknowledge that even though you're trying, obviously, the RMT is trying to help its members, it is actually directly hitting others who aren't in such a strong union position?
Well, I accept it's going to have a big knock-on effect to the economy. And if you were a government minister, the maths are simple, isn't it? If it's going to cost 1.5 billion to the economy every time someone goes on strike, and this dispute could be settled for a fraction of that, you would take option B and settle the dispute for a fraction of that. I mean, that's sound economics, but what we have, unfortunately, is an ideology, a free market liberal ideology, a complete monetarism. They don't take into account any of our economic theories whatsoever, and their main attack is inflation. But inflation is not being driven by wages; it's being driven by other factors.